for example, when you say, Namibia duletu, teripua kukarunga, teripua tukaremo, to a pipe to a pangere komburume duletu, jemo mo Namibia. There is a verse where you are saying, Koko lango kawe kupula, ngo porosomea kupula, kombae, shi, pula shimwe. Jemo mo Namibia. Now, if you go to your cassettes and see how the kids are singing those songs today, it's as if they lost completely their meaning. So, these are the people who we can consult so that we know exactly what was happening during the liberation struggle, and we don't need to sideline them. Yeah. We were tasked with a duty, personally, those anti-aircraft members of PLAN, to make sure that Kasinga massacre is not repeated. And we carried out that responsibility with zeal and determination, and Kasinga was not repeated until Namibia's independence. Since then, and in the trajectory of spearheading our march to freedom, I and majority of my comrades here received the commandments and directives from the Commander-in-Chief, Nujoma, through the structures of PLAN. Besides numerous battles we fought over the years, particularly the guerrilla battles of Shatotwa, Epinga, Elundu, Ohai Peto, Oshitumba, Oshetekela, Okalongo, Ombelume, Bunda, until Quito Panaba. These are the battles, to mention but a few, that we have fought to bring about Namibia's independence. There is a difference between guerrilla fight, like President Nujoma was explaining. When the enemy advances, you retreat. And when they don't expect or suspect it, you hit. That's the guerrilla tactics. As a technician, President Nujoma eventually realized that we didn't need to depend on guerrilla tactics only. Hence, the first mechanized infantry brigade of Swapo was created, early 80s, where I was one of the first pioneers who created a full force that was equipped with tanks, APCs or anti-personnel carriers, Katyushas, Namibian Defense Force, from exile. And obviously, they said here, President Nujoma was a tactician and a strategist. I was lucky to be one of the cadres who had to train aviation, civil aviation, both in militarily, in Libya, and I was able to meet Muammar Gaddafi physically. And I remember what instructions President Nujoma gave us, that we need to see how Libya was turned, or the desert was turned into a Greenland. Today, Libya can be flooded because of the endeavors and the work Muammar Gaddafi put into that country. And I'm very sure the Libyans today, if they were to be asked whether it was a mistake to kill Gaddafi or not, I'm very sure everybody will miss him. Yeah. President Nujoma worked with us. I was in the unions, and he consulted widely, and he gave his guidance to make sure that the workers are protected. Their rights and interests are zealously guided. In conclusion, once Comandante Fidel Castro once said, there is a limit to the tears we can shed at the graveside or the tombstones of martyrs and heroes. We can only reward them through the love we can share, the love that never falters nor grows dim. For the martyrs and heroes can only be celebrated. You cannot mourn, you cannot cry. You can celebrate unquote. We can pay tribute to the heroes by continuing where they ended, by fulfilling their wishes and visions. We can only give President Nujoma a befitting send-off, love and loyalty, by ensuring beneficiation of our natural resources to the Namibian nation, including the downtrodden, by sharing and narrowing the gap between the poor and the rich, by realizing his dream of having a harbor at Cape Frio, by navigating and tap the water from the Congo River through the Inga Dam to Zambezi, and then Kavango in the Kunene region, in the Kunene River. And then Namibia will have its own precipitation, hence the rain will be ensured. By connecting all our neighboring countries through rail lines, including Botswana, by realizing and dedicating all our efforts to attaining Vision 2030 to all our endeavors. Only then can President Sam Nujoma rest in eternal peace. Farewell, our Commander-in-Chief. Go well, our biblical Moses, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, the veteran of the liberation struggle. We appreciate the singing. That resonates well in the late 80s when we were growing up. Thank you. We are going to invite the Namibian Defense Force Military Band for a performance. The Namibian Defense Force Military Band for a performance before we get to the next items on our tributes list. Thank you very much, Namibian Defense Force Military Band. Our next tribute will be delivered by the Swapo Party coordinator, regional coordinator, Comrade Daniel Muhura. This is the message from the Swapo Party. And again, Comrade Muhura is the face of the Swapo Party in the region and serves as its regional coordinator. He's a native of the Rongo region and was once the mayor of Arandes town. And just like other speakers I've introduced thus far, he has also worked for the Rossing uranium in the town of Arandes. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Director of Ceremonies, dear mourners, Comrade Ben Amatila, representative of the chief mourners, comrades, ladies and gentlemen, what a significant town is Walvis Bay. What a historical town is Walvis Bay. 97 years ago, the name Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma was written in golden words in the town of Walvis Bay. Today, that name is still shining in the coastal town streets of Walvis Bay. That's the name of the founding president of Swapo Party. That's the name of the founding father of the Namibian nation. The name of the commander-in-chief of PLAN. That's the name of the firstborn of Daniel Utoni and Meme Kondombolo. He was always the first. Allow me, Director of Ceremonies, to acknowledge and observe the protocol as it has been already established. On this significant and dignified occasion, we gather here to pay our deepest respect and tribute to a great leader, a visionary, a true hero of our nation, Comrade Dr. Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma. As we stand here today in the heart of Walvis Bay, a city that holds memories of his tireless efforts for liberation struggle of our people, we remember the man who not only shaped our country's destiny, but also became an icon of hope and unity for all Namibians. His life and legacy will be cemented in the archives of our history. Comrade Dr. Sam Shafiishuna Nujoma was not just the founding father of the Namibian nation, he was a beacon of hope for all who work towards justice, equality, and freedom. He led the Swapo Party with unwavering dedication, commitment, and perseverance, so much the United Nations General Assembly recognized Swapo Party as a sole and authentic representative of the Namibian people. He gave his life to the struggle for independence of Namibia. And it was through his leadership that Swapo became the political force that would lead us to the freedom we now cherish. He worked tirelessly, both locally and internationally, to advocate for our freedom. He petitioned the United Nations and raised the voice of our oppressed people to the world. He also played a pivotal role in establishing Swapo, which later became Swapo, and in the creation of Plan People's Liberation Army of Namibia. You heard from Comrade Kapenda, which fought bravely for our independence. Before independence, Comrade Nujoma was a resident of Erongo region, where he lived and worked alongside the people, sharing in their daily struggles and aspirations. He stayed in a compound, side by side with the fellow workers, imparting the true essence of a servant leadership. Even after independence, his house in Hendy's Bay became a place of welcome, where he hosted fellow leaders, comrades, and ordinary Namibians alike, always ready to engage, listen, and inspire. Comrade Nujoma was not a leader who distanced himself from the realities of our people. In Hendy's Bay, he worked in the gardens with community. I was also part of that assignment. Tilling and soil and planting seeds, not the seeds for crops, but the seeds for unity, the seeds for resilience and hope. As we reflect on his life, we turn to the words of the Bible in Isaiah chapter 41, verse 10, which says, "Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." These words echo the strength, courage, and divine guidance that Dr. Nujoma embodied through his entire life. His journey was not easy, but through his faith, determination, and love for his people, he carried us through the freedom we are enjoying today. Today, Namibia mourns the loss of our beloved father of the nation. Africa mourns the loss of a great Pan-African leader. The world mourns the loss of a leader of notes, a great freedom fighter. The Swapo Party mourns the loss of its founding president. And we, the people of Namibia, mourns the loss of our father, our guardian, and our mentor. We have become orphans. But we carry on with his spirit, his vision, and his commitment of a united, free, and prosperous Namibia. On behalf of Swapo Party, and indeed on my own behalf, I would like to express our heartfelt condolences to Memekovambo Nujoma, our first founding First Lady, Comrade Utoni Daniel Nujoma, and the entire Nujoma's family. May you find comfort in the knowledge that Comrade Sam Nujoma legacy will live on forever. His soul will rest in power, and his work will continue through the generations to come. Go well, the son of the soil. Go well, founding president. Go well, father of the Namibian nation. May your soul Rest in power. I salute.
Thank you very much, Comrade Daniel Muhura, Swapo Party Regional Coordinator for the Rongo region. We are going to go back again to the Namibian Defense Force military band for another performance as we prepare to receive a message from the representative of the Chief Mourner, Honorable Dr. Ben Amadila. And you. Thank you very much, Namibia Defense Force Military Band. Before we invite the representative of the Chief Mourner, I would like to introduce him to you. The little that we have researched came up with the following. Dr. Ben Amadila, for those that may not know, he was actually born here in Walvis Bay and educated at the Augustinium Training College in Okahanja and the then Rhenish Mission in Tumeb. He's a retired politician who served in the government of Namibia from independence until 2007. Yes, in the little research on the representative of the Chief Mourner, I also found out that he is a permanent member of the Swapo Party Central Committee and a permanent member of the Swapo Party Politburo. Honorable Dr. Amadila began his mobilization for Namibia's independence in 1959. He helped to mobilize support for Swapo from 1959 until when he went into exile in 1966. He then was instrumental in organizing Swapo Consultative Congress at Tanga in Tanzania in 1969. And shortly afterwards, he became Swapo's representative to the Scandinavian countries, and then the movement secretary for economics. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we need to rise as we welcome the representative of the Chief Mourner, His Excellency the President, in the name of Honorable Dr. Ben Amadila.
The nation is left as orphans. Our warrior has fallen. Rest in peace. Our founding president, your legacy will ever remain. Our founding president, farewell. Our father of the nation will forever remember you. Our father of the nation, farewell. Vululukwa, vululukwa, tate kulu. Vululukwa, vululukwa, Nombiwe.
Good afternoon, and please be seated. It's a moment of sadness on my part that we are all here this day to try and face reality concerning our fallen gallant Commander-in-Chief, Dr. Shafiishuna Sam Nujoma. I'm not very good at protocols, but I like to follow the protocol as established. I'll mention the name of the minister in the presidency, that Christine Webers. I mention the bereaved families who have bear the brunt of this great loss. But it is our loss. It is a Namibian loss. I should not forget the governor, whom I'm proud to say, coming from the airport, I saw the crowd standing on the pavements, the lane. I saw the young people whom I think the schools have allowed them to stand, wave to the grandfather, their father, or the grandfather. It was so impressive. It was so impressive, and I was just trying to say that maybe I got the answer, because the question has been, when the president assigned me the task of standing in for him here, I did not have a chance to ask him why did he select Erongo to be one of those places where the mourning of our dear founder of the Namibian nation has been selected. But looking at the crowds this morning, the children, that the business community looks like have given up the chance of making money today by allowing the employees to come and join to send off one of our beloved president is so impressive. I would like to come to my version why Erongo was chosen to explain quite a number of things. But let me first start off by saying this has been a very difficult week or weeks for all of us. But it looks like we are nearing an end in releasing him to let him go. We have him here in Erongo today, tomorrow in Keetmanshoop, and finally we'll take him to Windhoek, where those who has the capacity will reach there to see him being put away. Who was Sam Nujoma? I had the privilege of visiting the hospital where he was. And I have to repeat this. I'm trying to gain strength by repeating this because as much as I thought I was tough, for Comrade Sam Nujoma, I have a soft spot. When I visited him at Lady Pohamba, I think it was a Friday afternoon, about shortly after 2. I was given the opportunity to enter the room. I saw him lying there. And I realized his hour has come. It was just a matter of time because less than 12 hours later, he left us behind to be united with his ancestors. I left the room as a way of hiding my emotions because I could not help it. I was just helpless. There's nothing I could do. I know he was going. Yes, he was borrowed to us for 95 years. Who's going to be lucky to live that long? Who's going to be lucky to live that long? 95 years. Of course, his dear mother was more fortunate. I think she left us at the age of 107. But given the load that he carried, given the task that he performed, and the roads that he traveled, traversing every corner of the world for the search of liberations for the people of Namibia, was indeed a very heavy load. 95 years was indeed a blessed time. That's a life well led and lived. And for those who knew him, will realize that, yes, he guided us, he led us, and his smile, laughter, his love for children, his ever engagement in trying to solve problems was indeed a blessing to all of us. Comrade Shafiishuna, Sam Nujoma, yes, he's indeed gone. All what's remaining is we'll put him aside, we'll put a cross and mark a name on his, that yes, this is a place where one of the bravest leader for the cause of Namibians rest. It was not easy for him. He was mocked for trying to topple the most powerful government in Southern Africa. People laugh at him. They make a mockery of him. They painted picture and they painted all kind of mocking devices, showing him as a lion, a murderer of a hyena, murdering children, and all kind of things, to make him look bad to the people whom he was trying to liberate. Yet, his family stood by him. And those who understood what the whole thing was all about stood by him. From 1956, when Britain, France, Israel attacked Egypt, which was the most powerful military state on the African continent. And when President Gamal Abdel Nasser of Egypt destroyed all those ships, or most of those ships which were in the Suez Canal, no ship will go through the Suez Canal, and all ships have to be directed around the Cape of Good Hope. And South Africa was made strong because he could get all kind of weapons that she needed. That was the force that Sam Nujoma decided, I'll take my people, I'll lead my people to tackle this force. In 1989, he managed to do that. 1990, we become free and independent people. And he declared that Namibia was free not to be colonized again. Namibia was free forever. What was the price? The price was written in blood. Young people who crossed the border after the collapse of the Portuguese colony in Angola, Mozambique, those young men and women who decided they will go and join Sam Nujoma to make his plight easier to fight for the liberation of this country. Some made it, some didn't. But those who made it, it was not easy. For the political leaders, some were young. Even if they wanted to go and fight, you cannot send them back to fight. There was that big question. You are fighting to liberate the country. After liberation, what? Who's going to run that country after you've liberated it? There became a parallel demand, and Nujoma, with those who stood by him and trusted him, that no, we have to train people, we have to allow people a chance to go to school so that when independence comes, we'll be able to transform our country and make it livable for the people of Namibia. But the plan also needed educated people. They have to calculate the distances, the explosives, capacity, the kind of guns they have. They also needed trained people to be effective in the war. So that sharing who should go to school and who should go to the army became a bit of a problem. In spite of all, we did manage. Their blood has watered our freedom. Nujoma started office by petitioning the United Nations because he believed Namibia was a mandate of the United Nations. He provoked the Western nations to realize that they have an obligation to make the United Nations free the people of Namibia. But instead, the United Nations or members of the United Nations have all the time at their disposal to play games. And he saw through that and said, look, the people of Namibia will become their own liberators. They will have to fight and liberate themselves. But you will not expect those who have armed South Africa to the teeth will give guns and weapons to Swapo, to the Namibians, to topple the client state South Africa. And no African state was in a position to manufacture weapons. As Nyerere used to say, you give our enemies weapons to kill us, and you expect us to use bow and arrows against those you supplied weapons. Nujoma was a strategist, a very good one. Whether he spoke English or he spoke Chinese or whatever language he spoke or didn't speak, he was an effective strategist. He organized himself and those who were there to get the weapons that was needed. Okay, the first weapons were obtained from Algeria, but they were Russian-made. But to fight a powerful state like South Africa, you need more weapons. You need more training. I remember I was given a chance to represent Swapo in the Nordic countries. And Prime Minister Olof Palme assured me that, look, we understand what you people are trying to do. We recognize your right to self-determination. We will not give you weapons, but we will give you all material assistance that you need. That was the story of most of the states in the West. They will not give us weapons. Nujoma, the strategist, the tactician, went to the Soviet Union, started getting weapons, shiploads of weapons, and training facility for Namibians to train. But he also realized that while fighting to achieve what we need to achieve, those who are supporting South Africa were still very strong in blocking all the resolutions of the United Nations concerning Namibia. Nujoma's strategy became one to win over all the African states, and he did. All African states, the African Unity, the OAU, the Organization for African Unity, in all minus Malawi and South Africa was not part of it, recognize Swapo and start supporting Swapo. But they didn't have all the money that we needed. The strategist Nujoma pushed a point that our resolutions, Swapo resolutions, who once endorsed will make it resolutions of the non-aligned movement resolutions, and the group of 77. And when we got to the United Nations, there was overwhelming support for Namibia's case at the United Nations. This overwhelming support was only stopped at the Security Council by those Western powers who had veto power. We couldn't get everything that we want when they used their veto powers. Nujoma was a strategist and used our massive support to pass through resolutions which gave Swapo the standing. We got a standing of an observer to the OAU meetings, and we also got observer status to the United Nations. And because of this overwhelming support, they voted to make money available to Swapo and Swapo's cause, that Swapo could run a big office in Manhattan, not far from the United Nations. And those Namibians who were in New York, Theo Ben-Gurion was the first one to man that office. The United Nations started paying money for radio broadcasting and information production to make Swapo and Namibia's case all over the world. And because of the majority of support that we have in the United Nations, Swapo was called the authentic representative of the people of Namibia. Now that was quite an achievement, because in the history of the United Nations, no one has reached that stage of getting that kind of a title and getting funding from the United Nations to carry our struggle for liberation. Comrade Nujoma will realize that we have the backing of the African countries. We have the backing of the people of Asia. We have the backing of the people of Latin America. But the West was still refusing. He started campaigning in the West, and the first conference on Namibia was held in Brussels, called the International Conference on Namibia in 1972. Some of the Western countries start softening up, but they did not recognize Swapo. But countries like Sweden, Germany during the time of Willy Brandt, and Bruno Kreisky in Austria believed that the people under oppression had the right to self-determination, and they were ready to give what they could in material assistance to Swapo. But the meeting, the International Conference on Namibia, which was held in Brussels, opened up one avenue. We came to the realization while we are talking, while we are fighting, our riches, our minerals were being shipped out of our country. We went back to the United Nations, and the man was actually in charge of this office was called Sean McBride, and we passed a resolution called the UN decree on Namibia to stop all those ships who were taking fish, minerals, be it uranium, diamonds, out of Namibia, that this be taken and be kept in a safe place for the people of Namibia after independence. Now that was quite an achievement. We tried to see whether the workers working at the port will be able to provide us all those ships with names, what they are loading and things of the sort. But we had one difficulty. The difficulty was which court in Europe was going to agree to annex or arrest a ship loaded with Namibian minerals. Belgium, that's where the most diamond industries are situated. Our uranium was going through Belgium, but we didn't know whether the courts will agree. Nujoma, the strategist, called on Sean McBride to find lawyers to study the possibility of using a court in Europe to arrest any ship which has taken our fish, or taken our diamond, our uranium, our copper to be brought to trial, and these minerals to be held for Namibia's future, for the Namibian children in the future. Those who studied law find that the court in Brussels were the closest that we could approach. And 2 lawyers were engaged to start these activities. But decree number 1 of the United Nations took long, and the pilfering of our fish and our minerals was going on. The right of South Africa to run Namibia was terminated in 1966. Nations of the world start coming to Namibia. They were fishing, taking our fish out. This place, Wolfish Bay, was full of fish. It's called Wolfish Bay because it was the bay of the whales. The whales used to be here on the coast. You could see the whale dancing around, swimming around the what you call it. So nations of the world were coming here to take our fish away. And there was nothing we could do. And South Africa, because they were illegal occupying Namibia, they could not stop those ships. On the contrary, they started with, there was an organization called the United Nations, the International XCF, the International Council of South Atlantic Fishery. They were distributing fish among ourselves. Our fish has been depleted that period of time, and Nujoma wanted to stop that. Unluckily, we did not make it. So Nujoma's strategy was the South Africans claimed Wolfish Bay was theirs. We were not there when they occupied Wolfish Bay. But apparently some of the courts did confirm that Britain has occupied Wolfish Bay, and they passed it on to South Africa. When the resolution 435 of the United Nations was taken, that we could get independence, it excluded Wolfish Bay. But there was a bit of a clause somewhere that says that the UN will help us to negotiate with South Africa to get Wolfish Bay back. The UN didn't have enforcement capacity without the veto powers exercised by some of these countries. Now that was troubling to Comrade Nujoma and those who were behind him. To get independence without Wolfish Bay was troubling. Troubling in 2 senses. First, if you allow South Africa to remain here in Wolfish Bay, because they claim it is their territory, the dangerous aspect of it was you could create another, what is this situation in Cuba, Guantanamo. This territory will become South Africa's territory, and nothing will move out of Namibia without South Africa's permission. Nujoma was aware of that. And nobody will agree to allow South Africa to occupy Wolfish Bay forever. The other problem that we had was the OAU has taken a decision that we should not reopen these border disputes of the past, because every country has disputes over the border. They were drawn up in Berlin in 1884, and those borders were cut families in half and things of the sort. So the OAU said that all colonial borders must remain as they are. Now that was to the benefit of South Africa, which simply means that South Africa could retain Namibia. It's a colonial border. Now that was difficult. We were disadvantaged by that resolution. Theo Ben Gurirab, who was the Secretary for Foreign Affairs, and some of us tried to work against that resolution. The UN said they were going to help us to get Walvis Bay back, but the OAU say colonial borders must be retained. And if you are talking of Walvis Bay, you are talking of Walvis Bay plus 13 penguin islands. Just on the coast there are 14 islands, small islands. And all those islands could also generate their own waters. And some of the islands are just at the mouth of Lüderitz. Now, if they generate their own waters, then it means that you could not enter Lüderitz, because you'll have to pass through South African waters. There was the big risk that Namibia could have become an independent state without access to the sea. Nujoma saw that. And his strategy was, okay, we cannot wait for independence to come, but he sends one or two of his lieutenants. Petrus Damasep is now a judge, I think judge president, isn't he? To come to a joint administration. Why didn't we trust South Africa and the United Nations that they are going to deliver Walvis Bay to us? In 1978, before we signed up for this resolution 435, our delegation was in New York to sign when South Africa deliberately attacked Kasinga to make sure that we feel the pain and to make us withdraw from the signing of that 435 in New York. So that wound was still fresh with us. And we knew we could not just wait for South Africa's goodwill or Western powers' goodwill. Anything can happen. But this time, Nujoma said, okay, let's take the independence of Namibia without Walvis Bay, but we have to find another way of getting Walvis Bay back. Petrus Damasep was sent to come and man a joint administration with the South Africans. They were learning, trying to find out what Petrus Damasep knew about all the intentions that Namibia has. And Petrus Damasep was also reading them well to see their true intention. But somehow, Petrus Damasep was withdrawn, and current President Bumba was then assigned with Ambassador what was his name, Hirschberg or So it was a delicate, painful, long wait that Walvis Bay could not be integrated, could not be liberated together with the rest of Namibia, because South Africa's intention was very negative. We went to Cape Town think it was 1991 or 90, to negotiate with a team of South Africans about Wolfish Bay. Still, they were playing hard balls, and in a war situation, you always try to maximize your demand. But apparently, Pig Botha whispered to Theo Ben, there is a likelihood that we can get Wolfish Bay. But I think they know that when ANC took over or Mandela took over, there's nothing they can do. And when Mandela took over, there was no argument. Mandela said, look, Wolfish Bay belongs to the people of Namibia. Whatever the OAU have said, whatever. So, Nujoma was a tactician. Sometimes when you talk to him and he starts scratching his beard, touching his beard, be careful. Sometimes that's a sign that something good will come out of it, but sometimes be careful, that's when he's angry. He steered us through all kinds of situations. We get Wolfish Bay, Namibia liberated. We got Wolfish Bay back. And he taught us one thing. We are a small people, a small country. Namibia must be united. We are sitting between 2 or 3 giants, Angola, northward to South Africa. I'm talking economically, militarily, they are giants. In the whole lifespan of Nujoma, you find that unity was one of his core. I don't know whether he has effectively achieved it, but he's still pleading, and wherever he finds himself, he's going to watch us to see whether we are united or working towards unity. If we don't, we are going to be picked one by the enemies and used against each other, and we lose this country. Nujoma was a tolerant man. He always said, forward, backward never. Forward, always forward, forward march, backward never. Once he has taken a decision, and he believes that that decision is the right decision, he'll move forward. He will not reverse his gear. His car didn't have a reverse gear, always forward. Now, my suspicion is when Bumba and the others decided Nujoma must make a turn here at the coast in Rongo, it's possibly that Nujoma played his cards so beautifully that because of our relationship with the ANC of South Africa, we got Wolfish Bay back without firing a bullet. That's brinkmanship, but it worked. Now, those of you who know the history of Swapo and ANC, When Nujoma in 1959 was arrested and he has to appear before a court, what caused him to leave the country. Oliver Tambo, he was a partner in a law firm with Nelson Mandela. Came from South Africa to Windhoek to come and defend Nujoma in a court of law. But he was not allowed to practice law here in Southwest Africa. They say he didn't have a permit. So he was put on the same plane at the Eros airport and sent back to South Africa. Now that has cemented the relationship between the ANC that Nujoma has taught us. You cannot get everything every time that you want. Be patient. Unity. Work hard. And things may turn right. When Nujoma came here at the age of 16, I think it was, he worked at a shop. Let me see, where are we now? No, we are in Quisepmont now. Those shops have disappeared now. He worked at a shop belonging to a German Jew by the name of Helvish. But he didn't work very long there. He came and worked for a whaling company. A whaling company that was a factory here which was killing whales. There were a lot of whales in Walfish Bay. All those things have disappeared. That's where we worked. Now, from what I know, he came with a lady. I saw my very good cousin, Alphonse Narusev, was reading something there. I think the person who wrote the story, Nujoma came with a lady called Julia Gebert Nanjule. This lady went to Ovamboland with her son. Her son died in Ovamboland, and he was given Comrade Nujoma as a young man to go and wipe her tears because she lost a son. Now Nujoma could replace that son. That's how Nujoma was given to Julia Gebert Nanjule. But 2 years later, this lady died. And for Comrade Nujoma not to get lost in the family traces, it was then that he was sent to Windhoek to his uncle, Kondobolo in Windhoek. That is the story as I know it. Dear mourners, I took a lot of your time, and I'm pretty sure your stomach is reminding you that you are also human beings. Let me just end by saying I'm glad Comrade Mbumba gave me this assignment, but I like it. I saw people standing for me. It's never happened to me in years. That's beautiful. I hope I could stay a little bit longer in this title. We have to show understanding and love for each other. Of course, if somebody doesn't like you, he doesn't like you. Why should you shouldn't force him? The geopolitical situation in the world is changing very fast, and Namibia cannot stand alone. Namibia has to be united first, become strong before we look outside. Nujoma was a person who loved and encouraged people to go to school. Yes, let's help our teachers to give the best to our children, because the world is so competitive, and our children being so small a population, we have to have the best educated of the population. I thank you very much for listening to this monologue. I wish Comrade Nujoma, wherever he is, his spirit will be with us, at least for some time to come, to make sure that we are doing the right thing, to lead us to a state united. And I have totally forgotten, he made his political testament. He made his political testament. I'm told he called Menetumbo or Dikwa, what is a Dikwa body? He called her, she was in South Africa, and he said, look, come and see me. And he told us, I want you to be the next president. Now, I think that was the wisdom of a great man who has gone through the world and history, whose view that we have to have Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah as our next president. I think we have to look into that and support the view of our president. He's going to watch us from above, from wherever, to see whether we are doing the right thing. Long live our commander, our uncle, our Omtoteli. Wherever you are, we are going to miss you. We'll try to take your teaching to heart, and we are trying to get this nation united. I thank you.
Thank you very much. We may all be seated. That was a befitting tribute of the founding president of the Republic of Namibia. We can't substitute, we can't dilute, we can't add to what was just delivered here. We're almost at the end of our program. And to cement or to close off this official program, we are going to invite the chairperson of the Erongo Regional Council, Honorable Benita Imbamba, who also serves as the regional councillor for the Arandes constituency. She will deliver the vote of thanks, and then I will take you through some few announcements as we progress with our program.
Thank you, Directors of Proceedings, Dr. Sam Telamo, our Regional Officer. Honorable Ben Amadila, Representative of the Chief Muna, Honorable Neville Andre, Governor of the Erongo region, allow me to stand by the protocol as already established by the former speakers. Dear bereaved mourners, today we are meeting here with heavy hearts, yet with profound gratitude to pay tribute to the life and legacy of our beloved founding president and the father of the Namibian nation. It is an honor for me, as the chairperson of the Erongo Regional Council, to express our deepest appreciation to all who have made this solemn occasion possible. Firstly, I extend my heartfelt and profound appreciation to Meme Kovambo Teopoldine Kachimune Nujoma, spouse and family of our late founding president and the father of the Namibian nation, who allowed to share her husband's wisdom with all of us. Meme, you are our mother, and your strength gave us more courage. We stand together with you and your children during this difficult time. I further extend heartfelt gratitude to Honorable Neville Andre, the governor of this mighty region, and his office and all regional and local leaders who worked tirelessly in coordinating this befitting ceremony. Your leadership, guidance, and dedication to honoring our national hero is deeply appreciated. To our traditional leaders, thank you for your wisdom and for preserving the cultural values that our founding president held dear. Your presence today reaffirms the deepest respect we have for our heritage and history. To all speakers and dignitaries, your heartfelt messages have reminded us of our beloved father of the Namibian nation, selfless sacrifice, and unwavering commitment to the freedom and Development of Namibia. A sincere thanks goes to our dedicated security personnel, health officials, and all service providers who have ensured that this memorial service runs smoothly and safely. Your efforts behind the scenes are much appreciated. To the media fraternity, thank you for covering this event and ensuring that every Namibian, near and far, can join us in remembering our founding president. Through your efforts, his legacy reaches every corner of our nation and beyond. A special and sincere thanks goes to our dedicated service providers of today, all government ministries and agencies, more especially the Office of the Governor, Erongo Regional Council, Ministry of Namibia, Defense Force, Namibia Correctional Services, Ministry of Health and Social Services, local authorities, National Youth Services, and NAMPORT. All mining sectors, more especially roasting uranium, Swapo uranium, Kiko R. Navaja service runs smoothly and safely. Your efforts behind the scenes are much appreciated. To our organizing committee, which comprise of public and private sector, job well done. Job well done, Team Erongo. You have delivered. Most importantly, I extend my deepest appreciation to the people of the Erongo region and all Namibians who gathered here today. Your presence is evident of your love and respect we hold so dear for our late father of the Namibian nation. To the Director of Ceremonies and our Chief Regional Officer, Dr. Ntelamo, thank you for always being ready to serve. In this memory, let us remain united, steadfast in our commitment to uphold the values of peace, unity, and development that he so passionately championed. As we bid farewell to a true patriot, a visionary leader, let us continue to honor his legacy by continuing to build the Namibian he envisioned. A nation of prosperity, equality, and unwavering solidarity. May his soul rest in eternal peace, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished dignitaries, I would like to acknowledge all the VIPs that joined while the ceremony was going on. I've not gotten the names, but I've picked up there are a few people there. We've gotten to the end of the program, but before that, I would want to make some few announcements, and I really beg your indulgence so that we get this message clearly. Firstly, the body will lie instead, as you can see, as can note on the program, that's what it says. Refreshments will be served. So what we are asking is that all of us, or let me start with the people in the VIP tent behind me, please do not move. and the body viewing will start with the dignitaries in the VIP tent. And then on my right, the senior citizens and the veterans of the liberation struggle. Please do not move. Refreshments will be served right where you are. Senior citizens and veterans of the liberation struggle. So if there's anyone of my age there, they should find another tent. All right. So for everybody else, there are 3 designated exit points. Like I've said, the body will lay in state. You can now exit through the 3 identified exits, grab your refreshments, have a meal, and then the gates will be opened for people to come in and view the body. Hope that's clear. And then the singing, there are 4 groups here. We have the NDF band, the NCS band, Dilimani, and Hanganen singers. So what we will do is, as the VIP, yes, there are 4 bands. So what we'll do is we'll take turns as the body view procession takes place. We will continue with the music. Now, laying in state, what it means is that the remains of His Excellency, the Founding Father, will sleep here, if I can bring English into the vernacular languages. Yes, the remains of the head of state, of the former head of state, will lie in state here, meaning for the whole plus 15 hours, we can all come and view and then exit. But that has to be done orderly. So even the food distribution, the refreshments distribution should also be done orderly. So from there, where you are, if you are not in the VIP tent, you are not in the veterans and the senior citizens tent, we will make our way to the 3 identified gates. So at the moment, we are all, I'll invite Pastor Jackie Fredericks to deliver a benediction, and then we can move with the AU and the national anthem, and then the body viewing will start. Is that in order, Pastor Jackie? Yes, thank you. As you come here for the body viewing, please, there are no pictures allowed. It's much better to keep your mobile phone in your pockets. Let's do that orderly and in a dignified manner. Thank you, sir.
Dear Monas, dear Director of Ceremonies, I would like to use my powers and say the following. Let us give thanks to the Almighty God that has given the Namibian nation that wisdom, the talents to do such a brilliant job. He brought our founding father, the family, and the delegation safely, and he will guide them on their journey. That's why we need to thank God first, and then the rest. I thank you. Let us now receive the benediction of the Lord. Abkhuba khaiti ti songtire. Abkhuba ngibdi aisangangan amti ting ngibdi khumamati. Abkhuba ngibdi aisa ukeng amti. Titwat makhiba ngarati. Nisi ti wang amusip kose. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face shine upon you and gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance and give you his everlasting peace. Thus, in the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen and amen.
All right, we shall now all rise to sing the AU and the national anthem. Thank you. We may all be seated. And as I've announced, the veterans do not move, senior citizens do not move, the VIP tent do not move. The VIP tent, you'll be the first to do the body viewing, and then further announcements will be made. The veterans, senior citizens do not move. The refreshments will be served right where you are, and after that, you'll also follow the main tent in terms of accessing the body. There are 3 designated exit points, so we can all find our way there. taking pictures here. You are allowed. From a distance. I think you are too. Yes, just want to make it very clear. The chief mourner will lead and the family will follow. And then